Welcome to the State and Beal podcast. This is the place where we celebrate Tennessee. The volunteer state, the Big Bend state, the hog and hominy state. On this show, we love Tennessee from State Street in Bristol to Beale Street in Memphis, with apologies to Mountain City. My name is Toby Sells, the creator, host, and producer over here at State and Beal. Music this week is by Jessie Rogers, who goes by the stage name Echoing Sunset. She won her showcase at the Down Home in Johnson City during this year's Tennessee Songwriters Week. This is Habit to Break. This is the very song that she performed to win her showcase. Blind from birth, Rogers found a deep love for writing and music at an early age. And since 2020, Rogers released 3 singles under the name Echoing Sunset and hopes to release an EP in the coming year. So best of luck to you, Jessie, and y'all stick around at the end of the show if you want to hear Habit to Break in its entirety. Well, my family and I did a whirlwind trip from Memphis to Nashville and back this weekend. It was a lot, but it was totally worth it. My wife and I donned our hats and attended this year's Iroquois Steeplechase on Saturday. Thank you so much to Autumn Eklund and everyone with Steeplechase for showing us such a great time. A few weeks ago, I previewed Steeplechase with Autumn and race chairman Dwight Hall. If you want a sort of Steeplechase 101, which I certainly needed, go back and check out that episode. For now, I hope you'll ride along with me as I do a sort of debriefing on our weekend with some of the sounds and a few interviews of folks gathered at Percy Warner Park for the 83rd running of the Iroquois Steeplechase. All right, now I had no idea what to expect. I'd never been to the event, never even been to a horse race before. But I knew a few things. Dress code, seersucker jacket, check. Hat, Stetson open road, check. That hat was so essential to my steeplechase experience. Now, how essential? Okay, we were 10 minutes from the house when I realized that I had forgotten it. And I did the unthinkable, which you'll know if you ever did a road trip with any dad out there. I turned around. I added 20 minutes to a 3-hour car ride just to don the appropriate chapeau. Well, really, I wanted some great-looking photos of my wife and I together at Steeplechase, so totally worth it. We get into Bellevue and check into the Home 2 Suites by Hilton, and it was a home run. I am terrible at picking hotels. I'll usually pick a flea bag with nothing close and nothing to do. I picked the Home 2 Suites because it was close to the park for a quick and inexpensive ride in a lift to the event. The room was huge and crazy comfortable, and the hotel had a pool. And it was in this great little lifestyle center that had a movie theater, a Jimmy John's, a Sprouts Market, a coffee shop, and just tons of other stuff nearby. All our kids needed was the pool, the Jimmy John's, and the movies. There was an AMC theater in there, and they watched Godzilla x Kong in 3D, which they said was amazing. So they were set. Special thanks to our friend and neighbor Tim for the sweet Hilton hookup. Our Lyft driver dropped us off at the rideshare corral inside the park. Now, we had no idea where we were going nor how far the walk was. But there were some super helpful staff members to get us on the right path, and we found that the gate was at least a quarter mile from the rideshare drop-off, so wear some comfortable shoes. And also, I was using some new microphones out there, and I haven't dialed them in yet, so the audio quality isn't perfect here. Apologies. We've just arrived at Percy Warner Park. We're walking down the pedestrian path toward the event. Neither one of us has been here before. And as we're walking up, we just see a sea of tents and a sea of people up on a hill, and you hear the announcers on the loudspeakers saying something. We're not very sure, but a little anxious walking out. I don't know what to expect. Walking through the tailgating area, a lot of big trucks, country music blasting out of these huge speakers.
those 10 by 10 pop-up tents that you see at the beach and everywhere else. Regular old tailgate. If you've ever been to an SEC football game, you know what I'm talking about. The dress is certainly elevated. It's like summertime peak. A lot of hats. I'm seeing a lot of hats. Great. A lot of folks playing cornhole. Oh, that's a cool one. Look at that. Got Lionel Richie over there. Looks like a disco. That is a great tailgate.
We were headed for the Hunt Club. With an upgraded ticket, we got access to this massive private tent. Think circus tent and you'd be about right. We got our purple bracelets at the gate with our handy-dandy race program, and we walked into a masterpiece of Southern hospitality. Maybe 24 large, round tables were draped in lemon yellow tablecloths. The centerpieces were these spring-perfect bouquets of flowers. No music like we'd seen at the Royal 615 tent, and the scene in the Hunt Club was simple and elegant with a family-friendly calm. Only well-earned laughter and conversation ever got really raucous in there. And everyone looked beautiful in their coats and their hats and their sundresses. But at the time, nothing looked more beautiful to me than lunch. A huge buffet table beckoned with good cheese, cut veggies, hummus, and these tiny little bread rolls I could not stop eating. And the main course was chicken and pasta.
We also have gamelli with spinach and tomatoes, a beautiful pasta dish, and chicken a la rose that I just had, and it was amazing. Chicken breast garlic, olive oil, almonds, fresh lemon, and a little rose petal garnish.
Now, I'd never eaten rose petals before. As hungry as I was, I could have eaten anything. But I am so glad I got to eat at the Hunt Club. Absolutely delicious. Belly full, next came time to wet my whistle. On the other side of the tent was a bar as long as the lunch buffet. I knew I was in the right place. They had a few local beers, ranch water, and some other pre-made cocktails. And they had bottles enough to make any cocktail you could dream of, and Johnny-on-the-spot bartenders with talent to make them. And they told me they also use Google. I went with a classic race day cocktail that is so classic, it might have been cliche. But I didn't care.
I'm drinking a mint julep out of a black Jack Daniel's cup. It is sweet, cold, southern, and absolutely delicious.
We mingled and met new friends and really just took in the whole scene before heading out to the rail to watch the races. Then I saw a group of friends gathered up for a group photo and decided to say hey.
Having a great time. All right, this is my 9th or 10th year.
Cool.
And I love the fundraiser. That's important. So it goes to a
It
good
is.
cause. And it's just fun for everybody to dress up. And we've been so lucky with this weather today.
Weather's amazing.
Yeah, it's lovely as always.
What keeps you coming back to Steeplechase? Why do y'all love this event?
So relaxed.
She organizes and plans it and invites, and
Fun.
we're happy to be here.
And we all like dressing up.
That's cool.
It's a celebration of friendship and beauty and good times and creating memories, lovely memories that we're going to treasure for years to come. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's a part of the culture.
It is.
We love that it's a part of the culture that makes us who we are.
That's right.
Southerners.
That's right. Well said. That's great. We all thank you so much. You all look lovely today. Have a great time.
That's when we heard it. A real-life bugle call. I'm not certain I'd ever even seen a bugle in real life. But there was the call, just like you'd expect in movies or whatever. And for the first time, a bugle call meant something to me. Had a bearing on my life. It meant the horses were headed to the track and you need to get ready for some racing. We grabbed our drinks, headed out of the tent, and walked up to a well-worn wooden rail. Just inside the rail, the grass changed. It was greener and more lush. It's the kind of difference you'll notice on a golf course where the rough meets the fairway. That green, lush grass was meant for racing, I supposed. As we waited, we checked our race program and found the horses. So many of them were from Ireland, and there were a few from Great Britain. And yes, they had those impossible racehorse names too: Artistic Choice, Recent Revelations, Moonshine Time, Snow Geese, and Snap Decision. Keep an eye on Snap Decision for later. On one end of the field was a massive screen. You could easily call it a jumbotron. That's where we watched the race begin. The amazing announcer Tony Bentley. All right, I Googled Tony Bentley earlier, and he's the regular voice of the National Steeplechase Association. He's inimitable, and in my mind, no one will do what he does better than him. But Tony Bentley is also an actor, and he was in 3 Academy Award-winning films. He was in Dallas Buyers Club, 12 Years a Slave, and The Big Short. Insane! Anyhow, Tony Bentley is calling the race, and we're watching on the Jumbotron. Around the curve of the rail, you can see the crowd react when they first see the horses. It's like an involuntary reaction to get excited. Then I see the horses and I get excited. And as they approach, you can hear their hooves beating the turf. It was softer than I imagined, but I was probably just used to hearing the mic'd up version of this in movies and the Kentucky Derby. And also, as they were directly in front of us, they were probably 30 yards away from the fence.
Here we are at the top of the straight. Oh, Tom Morris. It went by 2.5 as they come to the final jump. Old Tom Morris has the lead 3 parts of a length. Walk the Warrior to the inside and 2.5 to Moonshine Time. Here they come to the wire. Oh, Tom Morris. Here at Active.
I told my wife what Dwight Hall, the race chairman and former jockey, tells many about riding a racehorse. He said, drive your car up to 35 miles an hour and stick your head out the window. These horses breezed by, and I can imagine that's what those jockeys must have felt. And the horses did breeze. I was expecting them to kind of pound by, but their motion just seemed so smooth and so effortless. But I knew the effortless part was not true. At the end of the race, the horses get a long bag of ice draped over their necks. And I guessed it was just to cool them down. And right after the jockeys dismounted and the saddles were removed, the horses were just doused with cold water from buckets by a whole team of steeplechase workers that only do horse cooling. No fooling, it's in the program. After the race, we walked around a little bit. We checked out the stores and the hillside shops. And it's there we saw one of the best dressed women of the day. Everyone else saw her too because she was wearing the biggest hat you'd ever seen. It was checked in black and white and stood at least 2 feet over her head and drooped at least 2 feet down her back. I told her she won the hat game that day, and she told me she was the self-declared People's Choice winner every single year.
How many years running now?
3 years running, a couple years walking.
What brings y'all back to steeplechase?
The fun. Hello. And you know what? It's all this fun, and I understand there's also some horse racing.
So how long did it take you to put all this together?
Well, you know what? If I got it right the first time, I could have knocked it out in about a couple of weeks, but there's some spectacular flameouts and flops along the way. So maybe a month to get it where it will stay on your head.
Yeah.
We met another dapper couple as we waited for the next race to begin. Our new friend said that he owned Legacy Master Barber Academy in downtown Nashville. But being steeplechase, we just got to talking and I forgot to get his name.
One of my students gave me some tickets, man. This is my first time ever coming.
That is so cool. It is, right?
No, it's great, man. It's great. The weather's awesome. Every year I heard it would be rain and stuff like that, but this year's been great.
It's been great.
He was dressed in a perfect seersucker suit. I mean, nailing the definition of steeplechase style. And she was in a sundress and sneakers, which she told me those were her backups for when she knew that she would want to change out of her heels. Expert planning. He said he'd been to the Kentucky Derby, and I asked how steeplechase compares.
You know what? The only difference is I think the Derby just more of a whole city thing. Yeah. This is more of a area thing, I think. But it's still it's awesome. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. And I love it like it too.
Me too.
Everyone started to stream out of the park around the start of the last race. They were deflating the bouncy houses in the family area. Folks were grabbing one last drink to go from the hunt club. And folks in the tailgating area were cleaning up mountains of beer cans and folding their tables up to go home. Oh, Snap Decision, that horse I told you to keep an eye on earlier. The 10-year-old gelding became only the second horse to win the Iroquois 3 times. Snap Decision made history in front of a record crowd of nearly 26,000 people. What an amazing experience. If you ever have the opportunity to go to this race, do it. It's a one-of-a-kind Tennessee experience and you should see it. But if you can't make it to the park next year, get dressed up, make a mint julep, and fire up the event's live stream on YouTube. I know we will. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the show. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you back here in Tennessee next week for more State and Beal. State and Beal was written, produced, and hosted by me, Toby Sells. If you want to sponsor this show or learn more about what I'm working on for State and Beal's future, please drop me a line over at toby@stateandbeal.com. All right, thank you all so much.
Worn out pictures on the wall last September in the fall, and for a moment I could feel you next to me. A worn out picture by the bed, worn out memory in my head of easy laughter and the way it used to be. When I fell in love so easily, but it's a